All right, so it is currently Monday, my day off, one of my 2 days off. And over the weekend, I noticed that I was not as sharp bringing in records that are not as sharp as I'd like to be, or like I usually am. So I figured, why not take the time off that I have, not gigging, since I gig the majority of the week, to put some time in and practice. Now, they say that, practice doesn't make perfect, perfect practice makes perfect. I forgot whose quote that is. But regardless, um, I think when we're DJing, it's really important to have a plan of attack when we practice. Um, Last week, I know last time I was behind the decks on one of these videos, it was about working on like little mini sets that I kind of came up with on the fly. This week, behind the decks video, I guess at least this one, is mostly just to share the thought of taking notes mentally while you're playing and thinking about things that you could improve on and things you want to work on when you have the time, and then executing that in practice. So the reason I'm practicing some cuts, you know, just practicing my timing of letting the record go, opening the fader at the right time. Even when I'm on CDJs, I like cutting in records. Over the last few years, I've gone to hitting the pads instead when I'm bringing in records, but I'm kind of incorporating cutting in records a bit more, like I used to way back when, especially when we didn't have all these nice pads and we had to use the cue points on the laptop, which seems like a lifetime ago. So figure I'm gonna warm up with some cuts and then probably work on just blending by just cutting in records and letting it kind of beat match in. But just working on the timing because it felt like every time I would bring in a record and kind of just like drop it in, it would be a little off. Uh, I'd have to chase it, just kind of correct it, pitch bending on the jog wheel, the CDJs that I was using. So um, my plan is to warm up with some cuts, get my hands nice and warmed up, uh, get the muscle memory going, then go into some beats, beat match by dropping in at different tempos. And that's another big tip. If you're practicing something like that, practice it at different tempos. Just doing it at like something you're comfortable with, something you usually practice with, that's great and all. But the timing difference from going from something like, say, right now, this is at 95 BPM, jumping down to 70 is way different than 90. And jumping all the way to like 128, 130, way different than dropping a beat at like 95 BPM. So I'm going to practice all of those tempos, spend maybe about an hour doing this, and then just kind of work on some ideas I might have come up with over the weekend, some songs that I've heard. I've been working on this kind of mini combo with Paint the Town Red by Doja Cat. I don't want to put it in the video because of copyright and all that stuff, but going from that into YG BPT, get it Paint the Town Red, YG Red, so working on that, working on a couple other things, and just other variate. Like another thing I'm doing recently is I have a lot of like go-to mini sets and combos, song combos, and just kind of switching it up and taking like 2/3 of a setup and trying to mix it in with another record that makes sense, either just like key wise or energy wise or like wordplay stuff, just to switch it up because I do play a lot of the same spots weekly, and even though the crowd differs every week to week, there are some regulars that I see very frequently. So for their sake and for my sake, I think switching it up a little bit, and it's important to have those go-tos, but it's also important to just kind of work on just little variations of it. Like if it's already a good idea, just switch up a little bit of it and see if you can come up with a new good idea. But all of that starts with being able to drop the records in on time. And for the most part, even I recorded a lot of my set through video. Um, Looking back at it, it doesn't really sound that off like when I play it back. But in the moment, I know that just the timing is slightly off, and that bothers me. And I know there's a lot of DJs out there where the crowd will never hear the small little, minuscule millisecond off it is until you catch it and fix it. But you notice. And it's important to just kind of take note of that and see where you can improve. Like, I've been DJing full time for almost a decade now, and I still have those moments where I know that I could have room for improvement in certain areas. And sometimes it'll be something that like I practice a lot and I get good better at that and feel like on point with that, and then I'll let something else slip. So it's always a battle and always a reason to practice. So if you haven't already this week, get out, go practice, get behind your decks, your controller, whatever it is, put the time in, and not only that, but approach it with a plan. Oh, there goes my dog. It's real life. Yeah, approach it with a plan and execute that plan until you get to feeling like you're making progress and you're doing better and you feel more confident in whatever part of DJing that you're practicing and try to sharpen up on. And never stop practicing. Never stop trying to get better. Um, Even though like I can breeze through hours, like 8 hour long sets if I have to. It's just there's always room to improve, and the better that I get and the more I spend honing my craft, the easier it'll be when I get to the gig, and that's important too. So keep that in mind, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.